It's BETT 2025 and GPT Portal is back at it again. We're coming in with interviews and scoops and info on AI in education. Let's go. Okay, so welcome to another interview at BETT 2025 with Ben from Affinity, who is a part of Canva now.
We are indeed, recently acquired sometime last year. It's going really well.
Yeah, what's the input from Affinity? Like, how do you enhance and enrich Canva?
Absolutely, so obviously we know Canva's great at a lot of things. Affinity make 3 professional sort of creative applications. So they make Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer and Affinity Publisher. And each of those are sort of very good at doing very, very particular things. So obviously the Photo app's very good at editing photos, Designer's very good at vectors, and Publisher's very good at magazines. And Canva sort of acquired us to solve a little bit of sort of a professional end solution. So the idea was that sort of eventually you'd be able to create an Affinity and scale it in Canva and make use of all the amazing AI and templates and so forth.
What does Affinity bring to the table, when it comes to Canva?
So obviously we were acquired last year, and Affinity's got some amazing sort of templates and AI features, and really great across the board because it's web-based and very accessible. And obviously their goal is to democratise design and make it easier for people to learn design and be able to design. Affinity was acquired by them last year, and it sort of offers a sort of top-end professional solution. But the idea is the Affinity apps have always been very accessible, very reasonably priced, and hopefully a little bit easier to use than maybe some traditional design tools.
Hopefully.
So fingers crossed.
Right, but and then you. What was the 3 things you talked?
The 3 apps.
The 3 apps.
So Affinity make 3 different applications. They make Affinity Photo, Designer and Publisher. And each of those is very good at doing something very specific. So Affinity Photo is obviously great at editing photos. You have Affinity Designer, which is sort of primarily vector. So making paths or creating graphics. It does allow you to do a little bit of pixel and raster as well. And then Affinity Publisher is our desktop publishing application. Essentially, it's amazing at doing magazines and layouts, but it also has these things called personas. And personas essentially allow you to change workspaces or tool sets, really.
Okay.
So it means you can jump over to the designer persona and use some of the designer tools in Publisher, but you can also jump over to the photo persona and use some of the photo tools and features directly in Publisher.
So it's like a piece of an app within the other app, or are they interchangeable? Is it like one big app that just weaves and
So it's both. So they are 3 separate applications, and personas in Designer and Photo do something a bit more tool-based. So the Designer persona has like a vector persona and a raster persona, so you can jump between the 2. Photo has things like a raw persona for editing raw images, and then like a natural photo persona for design. Publisher's obviously a little bit special, a little bit different, because it allows you to use both the designer tools and the photo tools inside. And the teachers tend to love that, so do students too, because it means you only have to teach one app, which is great. Just really flexible and really interchangeable, hopefully.
You say that with Affinity, Canva wants to branch out into the professional field, So would you say that Affinity is supposed to do education for companies, for entities, instead of schools?
Well, it's a bit of a mix. So we've always branded ourselves, even before we're part of Canva, as a professional design tool. The idea was to be able to take on some of the biggest and best design systems and softwares out there and make something really accessible but really useful and really fluid. But what we found is where in some ways we're so much newer. The UI that we've created is so much easier to use. Lots of the tools we create and use, like the layer systems, are just simpler. Still really, really powerful, but just designed to be easier and more simple and more straightforward.
Right. And what are the AI features that you have in Affinity? Maybe some that help teachers and students?
perhaps?
Ooh, so
Are there any?
that's an interesting subject. So I'm not sure how much of this I'm allowed to say, but we'll say a little bit anyway. Essentially, we've been working on AI for a little while. I probably can't say how long and how extensive that is, but essentially, we've just released the 2.6 beta. And in the 2.6 beta is our first AI tool. It's a machine learning tool that uses a segmentation model, and essentially it allows you to select objects or things, particularly within photos for photo editing, pretty easily. So the example I'm using at my stand at the moment, or not my stand, at the Canva stand, sorry, and the Affinity stand, is we're selecting like a portrait model, and we're choosing to select her jacket really easily to make a mask, and then make edits really quickly, change the colours and so forth.
All right, so it's still manual. It's not that AI driven, is it?
Well, it's machine learning, which obviously is a type of AI.
Yes.
And machine learning is obviously a little bit different from some of the traditional AIs in the fact that we're not busy taking your data. What we've done is we've found that segmentation model, and we developed the segmentation model over and over again, obviously multiple instances of that incident happening. So we developed it to a point where it can detect things really well. So for instance, obviously hands are notoriously hard to detect in AI, but we've got a really good system that's separate for detecting hands. We've got some nice things going on with hair as well. We're testing it on a dog at the minute, so we've got some interesting sort of things going on. Yeah, sort of. So obviously, if you do use a selection tool, traditionally with a selection brush, it's really good at selecting hard edges.
Yeah.
So anything that's organic or soft is a bit tricky.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the things we've had to overcome. And obviously it's still in beta. We're still developing it, still testing it, but it's looking quite good at the moment.
I imagine that being a part of Canva now, you have to adhere to their security protocols and requirements. Yeah. Has that been an upgrade for you guys, or is it like, is it not really an upgrade? Let's not say downgrade.
I think it's interesting. So I think we've always aligned that we've always wanted to take care of our customers, very particular and very careful with their data and things, and obviously the usability. And I think where our applications aren't online, they're a downloadable app. We've always had quite a good relationship with that. So of course we adhere to everything that Canva go through, and their security is top notch. We know that. But there's not had to be any sort of drastic changes. And that great thing where the AI tools that we're sort of exploring and using are all designed to help or develop the user rather than sort of a continual ad. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of it's an individual data set that we either own or developed. And actually we don't want to nick your work, sort of thing. We're happy with what we've got.
Yeah. Right on. So, do you have any way of using prompts within Affinity? Is it somewhere down the line, perhaps?
So not at the moment. Like I said, we've been developing AI for a little while, and obviously Canva has some incredible AI tools that do use prompts and different prompts like that. I think it's also public knowledge as well. They've recently acquired Leonardo AI, which obviously is a generative system and lots of other systems inside, but also I believe owns / develops a generative AI library, which is going to be really interesting. So not directly in Affinity at the moment, but obviously Canva loves and uses AI in a very big way to empower people.
Right. So, are there any features that we can look out for? Look forwad to in the near future. Let's say perhaps April.
So I can't reveal too much. I mean, of course, we're a software company, and of course we're developing and constantly researching and pushing the boundaries, hopefully in a really positive way. The only thing I really say is obviously the 2.6 beta doesn't have a release date yet, but we normally release about once a quarter, once every 4 months. So it's probably not too long until that does launch. So mainly the object selection with the segmentation AI model is the thing on the cards.
Right. And what about startups? Do you have any startup collaboration program, something like that is going on?
Not
in Affinity?
Usually with startups at the moment.
Or open source at all?
Open source has been something that's been requested for years. It's definitely something that's very, very interesting. But I think with Affinity, we've always wanted to do things really thoroughly and really properly. So if we did get to the point where we were going to go open source and start to do that, the scripting and the rules and the methods and the way it played into the software need to be really well defined, really solid, and work in a way that was both intuitive, but also massively creative and open and free. So it's something we've definitely thought about doing, but you'll have to wait and see whether that's something we do in the future or not.
Luckily, patience is a virtue of mine, at least sometimes. So I'm gonna be looking out for it, and yeah, definitely. And I'm gonna be in touch with you. Let's see what April brings or the year brings. What's something that you cannot really tell us, but you can give us a hint or like a puzzle to solve?
Ooh, okay.
About a new feature or something cool that's coming.
Well, so I've obviously spoken quite a bit about machine learning, and I think that's going to be probably quite a crutch for lots of the stuff that we may be developing in the future, and that's something as well that we think it's going to be really useful, really empowering to designers. It's not replacing the ability to design or people's skills, but something that's going to help and influence them. And I think if you read between the lines, obviously, a segmentation model essentially has things that allow you to select edges or select things really well, or do things like that. And obviously, there's a plethora of AI tools that then take things a step further with segmentation and selection. So again, can't confirm anything. Hopefully, lots of stuff in the background working, but. Yeah, watch this space over the next year or so. And
we shall. And on that bombshell, we will end the interview. Thank you very much, Ben. It's been a pleasure. So many good answers. Such a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, looking forward to whatever's coming next.
Amazing. Thank you for having us, Dominic. And
thank you.
Very best.
Cheers.
Thanks.